Shalom, this is Rabbi Goldie Milgram. I'm in Portland, Oregon in the home studio of artist Sarah Harwin. Sarah is going to explain to us how to document a piece of art from conception to completion. Sarah.
I began the process by jotting down notes about ideas, about concepts in Judaism that I wanted to create imagery for. This little booklet came with me wherever it was that I went and had little pen sketches for the beginning of wrestle, illuminate, and connection, creating imagery for those three core concepts. From that, I began a process of sketching and scanning and sketching and scanning till I began to formulate the actual designs. Once those designs were selected, then I began the process of choosing colors, fabrics, paints, and keeping a log of what it was that was going to be happening in the piece. Notes on how to put it together, and samples of how the colors looked on fabric. Then, as I went to begin the process of sewing and construction, I made mock-ups of each of the major portions of each panel and kept things like stencils, scraps, and sketches. This sketch shows the individual pieces that were cut to create the tzitzit and the shadow that surrounds the tzitzit, which was metallic silks. This is a smaller eyelet that was then changed to incorporate more colors, but this is a sample piece of it. This was a sample of the globe prior to the time that I had located a blue-green metallic silk to be the water component of the piece. And I'll just set out a few other pieces that are also, here's the second with the actual silk that was utilized in the piece.
Now from there, what were some of the happy finds in your process?
Some of the happy finds were the way that I tested and learned how to work with the silk. Each layer, because of the nature of fabric and its warp and weft, had to be understood as to where it would lie in the project, as to which layer it would be, so that the edges would be protected from any fraying, so that the ultra suede would minimize the weight of the piece. Every little inch of the piece had to be understood in a way, if you were going to use an architectural term, from a structural standpoint, that it should hold up, that it should last, that it should look as best it could.
Now you have a name for the process you developed?
I call this type of work the completed piece of fabric construction.
And what comes next in the construction process?
After everything is laid out and stabilized, glued down, then it gets sewn on my sewing machine, and then the backing, which makes the whole piece sturdy, is heated and compressed and then put together to make it so that the work can be hung on the wall and that the edges can be trimmed to be part of the complete design.
Can you show us a bonded piece from over there?
Yes. This is a piece that would be from the first and second panels, and you can see that it is about 5/8 of an inch thick. Originally the stabilizer was about 3/4 of an inch thick, and with the heat and compression it melted down. And then on the back of the complete piece is cotton so that it's completely finished on the back.
A cotton fabric that completely finishes the back. Is there another step? What about photography? What's involved in the further documentation?
The next step, once the piece was ready for hanging on the wall or setting on the wall, is to get professional photographs, which has been done, and then those are digital photographs, and then I will begin to make corrections in those photographs. They will be digital files, and they will then be placed in the center of the page with text surrounding them.
Mm-hmm. And how long did it take you to do this particular triptych piece that we viewed in the earlier video?
This little book was the document that began the process, and it began in December of 2007.
And we are now in...
We are now in mid-2009.
Mid-2009. And the next stage is the...
The next stage will be gathering the texts from the writers, and then I will sit at my desk and work with InDesign to begin to lay out and mix and match and shape the text and the pages that will flow from those.
Well, I'm sure that a great deal of inspiration will come through as your soul connects with those of leaders, teachers, and scholars of our time. Thank you, Sarah Harwin.